Hyperemesis gravidarum is a life-altering condition. In addition to the debilitating physical symptoms, it can also evoke several heavy and unwanted emotions and feelings. These feelings can be overwhelming and scary. No one understands the darkness caused by HG better than pregnancy sickness support. We are raising funds to be able to enhance our mental health support services with our Kind2Mind campaign. Together we can help HG sufferers start their lives again after the devastation caused by HG. In this new HG and mental health series, Fundraiser Faye talks to HG sufferers and members of our counselling team to uncover the devastating impact that HG can have on a sufferer's mental health. Today I'm speaking with PSS volunteer Danni. Danni, thank you so much for coming along today to talk about your HG experience and in particular the effect that it had on your mental health. So can you tell me, how many times have you had HG?
Just once, but I've had 3 pregnancies. I've had 2 babies and 1 round of HG.
Okay, and when you had your HG, when did it become clear this isn't just normal morning sickness?
As early as 2 weeks.
Really?
Yeah, and then my first hospital admission was 5 weeks.
So what were the physical symptoms of your HG?
Well, at first I thought I was dying. That was the first thing. I was like, what is happening to me? And then, because the sickness didn't actually start straight away, it was just in my entire body. I felt like I didn't belong to my own body. It was really surreal. I couldn't eat anything. I couldn't drink anything because it was coming out the other end first.
Right.
And then I went to the doctors and they were like, have you had any sickness? And I was like, no. And obviously they're pushing the idea that this is a bug that I've got. And I was like, no, this has been going on for a couple of weeks now. Because the first time I went to the doctors was when I'd already been suffering for a couple of weeks. And the doctor just didn't take me seriously. Even though I said I wasn't eating and I wasn't drinking, and at that point already in 2 weeks I'd lost a stone and I'm already underweight.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, okay, she's not taking me seriously. We were on a Zoom chat and she was asking to see my tongue, to see if my tongue was dry. I was like, oh, my tongue's not dry because I've just sipped water. Like, I'm telling you, I'm dehydrated. I can barely get out of bed. Like, she wasn't taking me seriously. My GP was awful. And by 32 weeks pregnant, she actually discharged me as a patient at the surgery and I had to find somewhere else. But she was just awful, wouldn't take me seriously. So in the end, I rang the early pregnancy unit at Birmingham Women's Hospital. And I was like, I know something's not right. And they saw me immediately. They're like, come in. And I went in and they said, we're going to ring your GP to ask her if she's discussed this with you. She denied she'd discussed it with me.
Right.
But then they weighed me and I was 5 stone 10.
Danni.
So I was actually lighter than I thought I was. And they were like, how pregnant are you? And I was like, 5 weeks. And they were like, okay, we need to admit you. Obviously put me on fluids. They also gave me a feeding tube at this point. They gave me anti-sickness, IV, all the rest of it. And then in total, over the course of my pregnancy, I spent it was just under 3 months in total in hospital, admitted into hospital on various whatever they could give me basically to keep me going because I struggled. But
so
yeah,
obviously the GPs really let you down there, Danni. Do you feel like the hospital gave you better care?
Yes. Oh my God, absolutely. But I birthed out of area. And that's because of my job. I have clients and one of them was actually a midwife at the hospital. And she said, oh, come to this hospital. This was with my first baby, my not HG baby. And I went there and I had such an incredible experience that with my HG pregnancy, I was like, I'm going there again. And the hospital were incredible. All I had to do was ring and be like, I'm not good. And they were like, come straight in. As soon as they saw me the first time, Because at first I was so early, I rang the early pregnancy unit at Birmingham Women's because I'm from Birmingham, I live in Birmingham, it was close. But then I birthed at Warwick, and it was them, they got all of the notes from the early pregnancy unit and everything, and it was them that took me in every single time. I'd always go to labour ward, because it's a very small hospital. But even going to labour ward, where it was like they needed rooms urgently, they'd have a room for me. A private room on my own, no matter what, every single time. And every time I was admitted, I went in. The only time where I had to share a ward with women was once, and that was right at the end.
I'm so pleased that you found somebody that could help you.
Yeah, they were great. They were honestly great. It was just my doctor that was awful. And then, yeah, I had to change GP at 32 weeks pregnant.
Because they just wanted nothing to do with you. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, because I argued back. I stood up for myself. And she said she refused to be spoken to like that, even though I didn't speak to her in a way that I deemed rude. I literally spoke to her exactly how she spoke to me and told her, I was like, I am advocating for myself. I need help. And it was just things as like, she wouldn't prescribe me my anti-sickness drugs. She wouldn't do anything. I'd go to her with like, can I try this drug, please? Because I've tried all these others and they're doing nothing. No, you can't. And I was like, why? She was like, because I don't agree with being used. And this is where the argument got worse, was with the ondansetron argument. She wouldn't give it me. And I was like, I'm telling you, I want it. Now, it was already past the safe 12-week mark that a lot of people, some people don't, some people do, fine. But yeah, it was past that point anyway. And I was like, I'm asking for it. Please give it to me. And she's like, no.
Danni, did you show this doctor, did you show her any of the medical information that we've got from the PSS website? You showed her those guidelines? Okay. And
yeah,
she's
because obviously at this point I'm with you guys and I've got an incredible support. Like, she's still my friend now. Like, she was amazing. And she sent me this table of drugs that I can take, that I can actually take more than one at once. And I was like, what on earth? Okay. So I went straight to the GP and I was like, help me. And she's just point blank refusing. And then, because we'd argued so much, she refused to give me any of the drugs. And I was like, I can't survive without them. Like, I need them. In the end, because we weren't agreeing, she was like, I'm discharging you care from my GP, you can find somewhere else. I was like, I'm 32 weeks pregnant. I was crying my eyes out. I was like, what does this mean for my midwife? Because obviously, I don't know if it's the same everywhere in the UK, but around here it's, your midwives are specifically for your doctor's surgery. So it meant I also had to change my midwife. And I was like, oh my God, I can't do this. This is too stressful. And in the end, I just left. I walked straight into another doctor's surgery, crying my eyes out. I was like, please help me. And they just took me on like immediately. I didn't even have to sign up or anything. They just saw me straight away, prescribed me the medication, and then we went from there. But yeah, it was much better. I wish I'd swapped earlier on in the pregnancy.
But you don't, when you're suffering, you don't necessarily have the mental capacity to be able to make a plan like that, do you? You're just exactly. Like, you're suffering day by day. You're
ringing the doctor's surgery. I had to be like, right, we're going to speak for a little bit without being sick. So let's do this. And I'd like have to rev myself up just to ring them. It gave me the fear when they were like, the doctor's going to ring you back. I was like, oh no. What if I'm over the toilet at that point? Like, they're just going to have to deal with it. And there was times where I had to be like, I'm really sorry, I'm being sick. Sorry, 1 minute, just wait. And to be fair, the second surgery were way better. But yeah, that first doctor was just awful.
So how did your HD experience, coupled with the poor way you've been treated by the people who are supposed to be helping you, what effect did that have on your mental health, Danni?
It was actually a midwife at the hospital during one of my admissions. she was just sat with me for ages, and I was like, sorry, are we doing my blood pressure? Are we like, and she was like, no, I just think you need some company. And I was like, I just like burst out crying, and I was like, yeah, I do, I feel so awful. And she was like, yeah, I can tell. And at this point I'd been there for about 8 days, and I just wasn't getting any better, and I was at breaking point. I was regretting my pregnancy. I was like, I wish I never did this, because I actually felt pregnant with my baby for other health reasons. I'd been diagnosed with certain conditions that need certain medication, and they basically, the advice of my consultants and stuff was, if you want another baby, it's better to do it now, sort of thing. So we rushed. He wasn't wanted at that point. We wanted another baby, but not right now. So then when I fell pregnant and I was this poorly, the midwife saw it in me. She knew exactly what I felt. It almost made me feel like she might have had pregnancy sickness before, because she was just so understanding, like so understanding. And she was like, bless her, she was treading on eggshells, and she was like, do you think we should maybe refer you to the perinatal team? And I was like, yes, I do. Yes, I didn't even know at that point, I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah.
I'd gone through, my first pregnancy was smooth sailing, perfect, textbook pregnancy. So I didn't even know there was a mental health team for pregnant women. I didn't know that it existed. But she sat and she spoke to me about it, and she did the referral there and then. Now, at this point, I was already about 30 weeks pregnant. And because of COVID waits and all the rest of it, I didn't actually see somebody until 2 weeks after baby was born. But I still think that's great, because that was only 12 weeks of waiting.
So Danni, you've actually received counselling, haven't you, to help you deal with the trauma of your HG. Can you tell me, for anybody who's sat at home thinking, I don't understand how this would help you, how does counselling help you?
So at first, I'll be honest, I felt exactly the same. I've had therapy a lot of times through my whole life, counselling for various different reasons. And we all start off feeling exactly the same. Why are you asking me those questions? Very defensive, like, oh, why are you asking me? And with perinatal, it's very different, because they're asking you questions like, do you love your baby? Do you feel like you've bonded with your baby? And you're like, hold on a minute, what you get? Are you going to take my baby away from me because my mental health isn't good? Like, you literally assume the worst. So I'll be honest, my first appointment, I was very apprehensive. I was like, what on earth? Like, I don't like this at all. But then I quickly realised the first appointment was more just like a checking in. It was like a getting the basic information so they knew what avenue we were going to take. And from then, I then started seeing a counsellor who was actually a psychologist, and she was incredible. I actually saw her. There was a period where I went really low, really, really low. So my baby was born in April last year, and I used to see somebody once a month. And then when it got to November, I was really, really low. So we're now talking like 6-7 months postpartum, and I've got other things going on in my life, but we'd had such a rocky journey with the baby, and I just was like, I can't cope. And I reached an all-time low. And yeah, through December and January and February, I was seen every week. They just, that like that. And she really helped me in a way of like making me feel like I wasn't crazy, like understanding me. Because for me, that was one of my hardest things, was that nobody got it. Nobody could help me. The only person that got it was my support through PSS. That was it. Nobody understood why I was so low. And when you have been that ill during a pregnancy that wasn't particularly planned, and your mental health isn't that great during that either, and then things don't really improve when the baby's here, you're like, oh my God, this is never ending. But she really made me see the light. She made me understand myself more as well.
You've mentioned that you had peer support, but at the time when you were really struggling, Danni, we didn't have a counselling We didn't have a counselling service.
No.
And obviously we're now, we do have our counselling service, and we're building this up to make sure that anybody who's been affected by HD mentally has the opportunity to talk about it with somebody that's experienced HD themselves, and to try and start the healing, because it is a very traumatic experience, isn't it?
Yeah, to say the least. It just doesn't, like, for me, my HD didn't end when I gave birth. So there's that, because there's not much education around it. I had got no idea what was going on, and then everyone's like, "Oh, it will like start to get a bit better about 20 weeks, and then it will go." No, I was ill through labour. I was ill for a month after. Like, it just, I was like, oh my God, what is inside me that will not give me a break? But yeah, like they were still helpful, like, through all of that. I even rang labour ward again, even though I was like, I gave birth a month ago. I'm still being sick. So can you help me? And they gave me fluids. They literally gave me fluids. Baby,
Danny, this hospital sounds amazing.
Yeah, they were honestly incredible.
Yeah, because I think what I just relate to so much of what you've just said then about the being told. I remember when I was suffering, my doctor would constantly tell me, like, oh, when you hit 8 weeks, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
When you hit 12 weeks, you'll be fine. And I think 20 weeks and so on. And I was the same. I was still being sick in labour. So I think people that haven't had it struggle to understand why that's such a big deal.
Yeah.
Why is that such a big deal to be told?
Because I'd hit these milestones and be like, okay, I'm done now. And then I'd be like, why am I still being sick? They told me it would be over. Oh my God, no. I'd be counting out down to those and holding out for them, because I'd be like, it's not much longer now, not much longer now. And then
exactly
it would carry on.
Yeah, and then exactly, you hold out for that, and then it's dashed, and now you go back in, and now you're giving me another time frame that's 6 weeks away or 8 weeks away, and you just think, how am I ever going to get through this?
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't know. I never considered terminating the pregnancy, but I did definitely not want it to be there, and regretted getting pregnant. I was like, this is a sign, it shouldn't have happened, and like all that stuff. Like, I was just like, no, this was a mistake. Like, and then when I was still ill, when I gave birth to him, I was like, I can't even look after him. Like, I can't be the mum I was with my first. And I didn't like it. It made me doubt myself so much. It made me be like, just doubt everything.
So, Danni, what advice have you got for anybody who's suffering now when they're dealing with the physical effects of HD, but also the mental battle? They might be feeling overwhelmed, they might be feeling isolated, they might be feeling like, I can't get through another day of it. What advice have you got for those people suffering?
Where do I start? What advice do I give to the women that I support? For a start, go to PSS, because honestly, the lady that I had, she, in those first few weeks before I reached out for any help anywhere else, she was my hero. Like, she literally saved me. And at that point, I just needed a friend, just somebody that could speak to me all the time. My advice to people is to talk about it. Don't go into yourself and isolate yourself and make yourself feel worse mentally because of that. Talk to people. Yeah, most people aren't going to understand, and yes, most people are going to tell you to eat a ginger biscuit. You're allowed to be angry with those people. I got to a point where I was like, if one more person offers me a ginger biscuit, I'm going to actually punch you in the face. Like, stop. But yeah, PSS were great, and she actually pointed me in the direction of other things that I could get help with. And I was like, whoa, okay, like, this isn't just somebody to speak to. For me, I actually used the charity as companionship more than even though I got advice for medicine and I got advice with coping strategies and stuff like that, that wasn't actually the reason. I now look back and it's just the companionship, having somebody to talk to. My advice is to just speak to speak about how you feel, to get help. Like, you're not failing. That's what I kept thinking. I was doing something wrong. I'm failing. You're not failing. You just need extra help, and that is okay. It's fine.
I used to feeling I was failing. I used to think that every day.
Yeah, me too.
I used to think, why can everybody else manage this? What's wrong with me? What have I done wrong?
Yeah.
On top of the billion other things that I was worried about, like, how is my baby going to be okay when I've not had a drink in 3 days? And
literally,
I think it's also heavy, isn't it, Danny? It's all the emotions and everything you're thinking about is so heavy.
Yeah.
Of course it's going to
another
your mental health.
life is in your hands. Like, when you put it very black and white, in your pregnant woman hormonal mind, you're like, this baby is depending on me, and this is all down to me. Now, it's not all down to you. There is help out there. Yes, the baby is in your body, so we need to look after ourselves, but there is help that can help you do that. But it's 24/7. That was the thing I struggled with. There was no respite, none at all. Even when you thought sleep helps, but then you can't get to sleep because you're feeling so unwell. It's just debilitating. For me as well, it was not being able to be there for my toddler. I felt like I wasn't a good enough mum to him. And then I look back and I'm like, actually, he had the best 9 months. Mummy lay on the sofa watching films, eating crisps and chocolate biscuits. The best time ever. Just a snack that was easy on hand here.
My dad had so many snacks, so much Disney Channel. Yeah,
literally. So he's not going to look back on that and be like, oh yeah, yes, he saw me be sick a lot, but again, help from the therapist, a counsellor actually said, don't talk to him. Explain to him, Mummy's not going to be like this forever. Mummy's just poorly. Like, and it seems so like, oh yeah, why didn't I just do? But I feel like as a mother, you're just in automatic protection mode. So you don't want them to know you're poorly and they don't want them to worry. But no, like talking to him, like now he even like, because I had a bucket that I was sick into because a lot of the time I couldn't get to the toilet quick enough. He jokes now, we use the same bucket if he's got a nursery bug or something like that. And he's like, he holds it even when he's not being sick. He's like, bleh. And I'm like, yeah, you've seen that a lot.
yeah.
But it's just like, I was a good enough mum. He had a great time, like, just being with me all of the time. I felt rubbish because I didn't get any fresh air. I couldn't go out anywhere. I couldn't do anything. But when I really look back at it, he was absolutely fine.
You were doing your best, Danny. You were doing your best.
Yeah. You realise that when you come out the other side.
Yeah.
Not while you're in the thick of it.
I agree. Yeah. Yeah, because there's so much weight to it. And you just feel so the weight of the emotions, there's so much running through your mind and it feels like it's never ever going to end. Even though it's going to end.
Yeah.
Some people's ends halfway, some people's ends like mine the minute my baby's born, some people like you it ends afterwards, but it does always end.
It made me panic when it carried on because I'd never heard of it before, and I have now, but I hadn't heard of it before, and I was like, what is happening to me? It made me have health anxiety. It made me think there was something else wrong with me. I was thinking, oh my God, all this time there's been something else wrong with me, and I've thought I've had HD. Oh my God, what's happening to me? No, I did have HD. I was just taking longer to get over it. But everybody is different. And that's what I said. I remember saying to one of the nurses, well, why don't you tell me that then, that everyone's different? Because I'm following these guidelines thinking everyone's the same and they're not. Like, yeah. I had a little bit of respite during labour where I was like, whoa, I feel a bit better. This is weird. And it was weird because it was like immediate, like, relief. And then, no, it came back very quickly. But then when I did start feeling better, I was like, whoa, I can eat a meal this is really weird. I'm hungry. Wow, I haven't felt hungry in a long time. This is crazy. It just like it took away all the nice things that you like think of, all the little things that don't seem like a little thing, but when you can't have them, it's a big thing. But yeah,
it robs you of it does rob you of so much, doesn't it? It robs you of so much things, so many things in your life that make you happy or that help you deal with things when things aren't going well. Like, it just robs you of so much.
And that's why it affects you mentally, because you lose yourself completely. Like, I love a jigsaw puzzle. I love a jigsaw. And I couldn't, because I couldn't concentrate. One, I couldn't sit up for that long. Two, I couldn't concentrate. It was making me nauseous just looking at the pieces. I was like, oh my God, I can't do this. Like, it's even just little things like that. You can't even concentrate on a film. You can't look at your phone to text somebody back because it makes you feel sick. Like, everything. Just everything. And like my support, she quickly gauged that texting was a problem. So she would voice note me. And I was like, oh, you're thinking of everything. This is amazing. This is amazing.
How does it feel that you can now volunteer and help other people that are struggling like you were?
Amazing. It's like, of course, when you first start doing it, you worry, is this going to be triggering for me? Because you don't know what you're triggered by until you first start doing it. Now, I reached out to PSS and was like, I want to help other women. I want to, as early as like 3 months postpartum. I was like, I need to help somebody how I was helped. Like, I just need to. It was in me. And what I've loved is that every single woman I support is different. Every single one. But we all feel exactly the same. Every single one of us is like, it's just horrible. I can't do this. Or why is this still happening? And we all have the same questions about medication. How did you cope? What did you eat? Where did you go? Oh, were you really struggling because family and friends, they just didn't get it? Like, yeah, in that aspect, we are all the same. But everybody comes to BSS for different reasons. So you meet some women who, like me, just want a friend. So you can't get rid of them. They're talking to you all the time. And you're like, yes, I've got another friend out of this. And some women, they can't look at their phone. They just cannot be on their phone. So they're literally coming to you being like, what medication can I take? And then they disappear for a couple of weeks. And that's fine. Everybody does things completely differently. But knowing that it's helping them, that does something good to my heart. Like, that's like, okay, it was worth it. The 9 months of hell was worth it. Because even though, like, I now have knowledge I didn't have before that I can give to other people, and it's helping them. So that's great. That's great.
Oh, it's amazing, Danni. It's amazing. Thank you for everything that you do for PSS.
Oh, all the time. You don't need to thank me. I'll be there all the time.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Danni. If you or someone you love is suffering from HD, please visit www.pregnancysicknesssupport.org.uk.